And welcome back to the Cabbage Patch. I'm Dad.
I'm Tommy.
And I'm Gus.
And what did we do today?
We played One Deck Dungeon.
Look down below me. The One Deck Dungeon. One Deck Dungeon. One Deck Dungeon is a two-player, it's a 1 to 2 player game unless you have the expansion, and then you can have it be a 4-player game. But we decided to play it as a 2-player game with me helping figure out the rules and you guys having the heroes. And I think that worked out okay. I helped Gus. Gus helped himself. And
I also every turn gave Tommy.
Every turn you gave Tommy extra dice. So it's a dice rolling game and a card game, right? So the setup is you've got this deck of cards with these door symbols on the back, and you explore the dungeon 4 cards at a time. And on your turn, you do things called pass time, which is take cards from the dungeon deck and discard them. And that means when you get to the bottom of the dungeon deck, you have to go down a level. And when you go down a level, everything gets harder. So passing time is not a good thing in this game. But you each pick a hero, and your heroes have a starting amount of dice they can roll and starting abilities. And as you defeat monsters, you get more and more items and more abilities to use while you're searching the dungeon. This particular one,
warrior and an archer, sometimes it's just not fair.
Sometimes
because
it's
the
just
archer
not
can
fair.
just continuously give
an additional yellow dice. So the dice are colored. Yellow is swords. Blue is
magic.
Blue is magic, and
What were you going to say blue
purple
was?
is speed. I
What were
think
you gonna say
purple's
blue
agility.
was?
I had purple and blue backwards.
Speed.
Speed. So purple is agility, yellow is swords / strength / attack, and blue is magic. And each of the monsters that you fight as you go through the dungeon, let me take one of your items for a second so I can show folks, right, has a number of dice that you need to roll to defeat it. So this beetle requires 3 purple dice that's 3 or better, a purple dice that's 4 or better, a yellow die that is 5 or better, a blue die that is 3 or better, another purple dice that's 4 or better, and a yellow dice that's 6. As you level up, you get these black dice, which are wild, so they can be used as any color, and certain abilities let you gain additional black dice as you play the game.
For example, the warrior.
If
anything deals any amount of damage to you at all, you gain black dice, but you can only have 1 black dice
on your card.
Yes.
Right. So as you defeat these monsters, you take them and you turn them over, and you'll see that on these cards they have additional dice symbols. There's a purple and 2 blues between these 3 monster cards. And this one also gives Gus an extra health. So you put that underneath your card. And then Gus now has, instead of his original 1 blue dice, how many blue dice were you able to roll?
3.
How many purple dice were you able to roll?
3.
How many yellow dice were you able to roll?
1.
Yeah. But how much health did you have?
4.
So that was better than your original, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as you... Is that a dice that fell down? No. As you go through the game, you get stronger and stronger, and you get to roll more and more dice. And by the time you're level 3, which is what you two guys made it to, you were rolling a lot of dice. So you were able to pretty handily defeat most of the monsters that came up. As you reach the bottom of the deck, you get to the stairs, and then when you get to the stairs, you take all of the dungeon cards and you shuffle them into a new deck. You take your turn reference card and you expose the next level. Now the other thing that's interesting about this game is each level has different additional things that you have to do every time you encounter a monster. So this one is the Dragon's Cave, and on the first floor of the dungeon, all traps required 2 dice of any color, and all monsters that you encountered required 3 yellow dice. Otherwise, you'd take a wound. It is what they call a fully cooperative game, so you either both win
Or you both lose. Either you live or you die. So that's it.
Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. It's a relatively simple game to play. Tommy and I have played it a couple of times. This is the first time I think Gus has played it, so we're going to start with Gus and things that he liked and didn't like. The turn reference card tells you what to do. When you get to the 4th level, then you turn everything over and you have to fight the boss monster. So this is the dragon that you would have had to fight. And he takes a lot of dice. A lot of blue dice, which you don't have a lot of blue dice. So you'd have to be making sure you're collecting stuff with blue dice as you go through the rest of that. So as you get to the bottom of the dungeon, and the last thing, instead of the stairs, you face the dragon. And every monster on that third floor is even tougher, right? So as you go down the dungeon, the monsters get tougher and tougher in addition to whatever's on their cards. It's a cool game. I think it took us probably a half an hour or so to play the first level, and then we started into the second level, and then we're going to save it and take a break. So we'll mark which cards we had and where we were in the dungeon. We were only a couple of cards deep into the dungeon, right?
So, it's unique because it's like a game where you save your progress, like a video game.
A lot of games are like that. But yes, we can save our progress because we know what level we're on. We know how many potions we have. I might have to write one or two things down, but then we'll just take all these cards and we'll put them in a pile and we'll come back to it later. So what did you like about it, Gus?
I mean, there's a lot of things to like about the game.
Yeah? Well, name one.
I like that you can add to your items.
Oh, yeah, adding items get you more dice or more health. That's true. What about you, Thomas? What was something you liked about it?
I like both that and the art.
The art? Yeah, it's a pretty decent looking. The cards all have cool pictures
One of
on them. I shouldn't have looked at that.
And even one of the monsters, there's even looks like a creepypasta picture.
It did a little bit, I suppose. So there's a variety of monsters in there. There's actually an expansion called I think it's called Forest of Shadows, I believe, which is a standalone game, so you can play it with just that deck as opposed to this deck. So there's a lot of replayability here, but there's also a decent amount of replayability between the characters that you have and the effects that you're doing through the different dungeons. So instead of fighting the dragon, we might fight the Yeti, or we might fight the Hydra, or the Lich, or the Minotaur. And that'll do different things for the monsters. I think that's it. There wasn't much to remember from a rules perspective. I think the first time we played it, we didn't do we forgot to do the floor bonuses for the monsters and the traps. But we didn't do that this time. And I think that the making sure that we use our feats and our skills that are at the bottom of the card was something that we needed to remember to do, and the order in which to do it. And then each hero gets a special ability that gets them extra black dice sometimes. So Tommy, like he said, once he takes a damage, he gets to bank a black die and use it when he needs it. As soon as one player, doesn't matter which one, suffers a number of wounds equal to their health, they're dead and the game is over. There's also a potion thing that as you start the game, you get a potion, and potions let you heal. And to get more potions, you have to level up. And at the end, at the maximum level, you can start buying potions with experience points. So each level gets you more items and skills, and more bonus
And
black dice.
let me tell you something. If I didn't have this first thing, see, I had 3 hearts.
Yep.
And I took 3 damage.
Yep.
But I didn't die because I had that.
Because you actually had 4 hearts worth of hit points. That's absolutely right.
So that saved my life.
That did, but then you use the potion to cure 3 hit points. And you decide as the players, because it's you against the deck, so it's not like you against me, it's you or you against you, it's you against the deck. You decide between the players if there's an uneven amount of damage that happens from a monster encounter and you don't cover all the little boxes on the cards, how to divvy that damage up. So Tommy started off with 4 hearts, Gus had 3. So when you guys took 3 damage, Tommy took 2 points and you took 1. Cool. So I think that's it. What'd you think of it? How many cabbages are you going to give it?
2.
2? How about you, Thomas?
It's a very solid and enjoyable game.
It's a very solid and enjoyable game. What does that mean?
Sometimes kind of complicated.
There's a lot of dice going on. So solid and enjoyable, is that a 2? That's
2.5 if we are allowed to use that here.
no. You have to round up.
It's 2 or 3.
Okay, why don't we give it a 3? So you give it a 3, you give it a 2. I'm going to give it a 2 because it's a solid game. So that makes
4 plus 3.
is
7 cabbages.
there we go, 7 cabbages. So fun game. We enjoyed it. I think that covered all of the bits that we like to cover about it. I like the art. I like that you can set it up really quickly. You don't need a lot of table space. I also kind of like the fact that you can play it by yourself. We played one other game that was a single player only, and that was also a dice game, and that was fun too. But we need a 4th person in the house so that we can play the 4-player version of this. So I don't think it'll be as much fun for me to play 2 characters. All right. Well, 7 cabbages. We liked it, and we will see you next time. Do you want to do the outro?
Subscribe, like, hit that bell, Tommy.
Leave a comment if you wish.
Eat plenty of cabbages, not us still.
Because we don't really grant much good abilities.
Or experience, because you're pretty low level.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.